from Alpha. Oh, looks like our head of marketing, Lisa, is recording us, so that's good. Got that. Welcome to our first information night for our new project, which is pretty exciting, Norwest Quarter. We want this night to be reasonably informal. We've had some questions that have already been submitted, which is great, which we will get to. But what we want to do tonight is go through the project with our lead designers, our architects from Faith Smart, our landscape architects from Aspect Studios, and a really important one for us, and one that has really led the vision in terms of our evolution of product over the last few years, which is a sustainability consultant, Infinity, Finding Infinity, that is. So this project for us has been something that has been coming for a number of years, and it's come from a basis of, I think, kind of three key pillars for me especially, and that is to bring another level of inspirational architecture to Norwest. It's about a next generation project. I think we all know that we've moved into a new cycle within the property industry, and the market has to take a step up if it wants to stay relevant. And so for us, contracting two lead architects to work collaboratively on our first stage has really meant that I think the team and the architects themselves have been pushed in a really good way to deliver something special for us. One part of our journey over the last couple of years has to try and move beyond, I guess, what was kind of earmarked as, zero carbon. And for us, it's about going beyond that and going into biodiversity regeneration. It is a stepping stone. It's a KPI in progress, you could call it, and it's not something that you can simply deliver in hard and cold facts. It takes consumer behavioural change that we'd like to think we've started to bring into how we would like people to live moving forward into this project. So we're really excited that this project has been recognised by some leading participants in the industry, all the way up to a federal level, to be one of the most innovative and progressive projects when it comes to sustainability. We'll go through that a little bit more in detail later on, because every developer kind of says they're leading the way in sustainability and doing great stuff and blah blah blah. The reality is that our team, and I've been really inspired by our team, has done a great job at incorporating and pushing lots of different things into this project to make sure that it's not greenwash. It truly is taking a step. And then for me, most of you probably have known me over the years. We do try and have a very important element of social responsibility and input into our local community. A connection to nature through our biophilic design, our connection to wellness is very important for us and does form a really important part of the brief up front. And I'm really excited. I know there was meetings there, and Louise will come on, our landscape architect. I know there was meetings through the design development phase where she was pretty annoyed with me because I kept going, we want more nature, give me more. And but I think that the team has really pulled off something special. So for us, it's a master plan project across 9 towers. It's in total, it will be around 864 apartments. You can see the rough master plan on the page here. We've kept it pretty raw because for us it is a work in progress that we're going to keep on getting better. But the main thing to see here, if these people come in from the waiting room, so I don't have that thing on my screen, and now I've disappeared. that we've worked hard, and with council, we're living up to the promise that we're delivering, 70% of the ground plane into landscaped open space. And for us, that's something really special, and will set this precinct apart, I think, from many of our other competitors. So I think without further ado, I think I'm going to be handing over to the architecture team and Matt Allen from Bates Smart. Matt won't go into, I guess, the history of Bates Smart, but it's a fantastic architectural firm. It's Australia's oldest architectural firm, and I think there's something special about that.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, what a great opportunity to finally talk about this project we've been working on for over a year now. Really at a point in which we can start to see it really come to life. I'm just trying. Yep, got it. So yeah, as Tim outlined, we started this project just over a year ago with a brief to bring density to Norwest in a new way, to really think about how we can channel the incredible natural setting, the connection to nature of northwestern Sydney, and imbue higher density apartment living with some of that quality that you find in the garden landscapes of the surrounding area. This is one of the early sketches from our project, which started to think about how we might approach it. Sorry, I'm just having a little bit of trouble with the slides. I think I've got it going now. So yeah, this idea of bringing nature to density was one that started with our earliest ideas, and we started exploring the natural landscape of the local area, looking at the nature within the Cumberland Plains, and really studying how they dealt with the very different climatic conditions in northwestern Sydney from the coastal environment. And you see lots of fine frond plants creating dappled light, giving shade to that hotter climate. We've seen over the years how that approach to shade has been interpreted in some of the early buildings out in the area. I'm sure you're all familiar with the big verandas sheltering the houses, the low density houses. And we really took inspiration from that in thinking about how can we create an apartment building that has a well-protected, thermally insulated, well-ventilated core, and protect that with a perimeter shading structure. So that's the third diagram you can see here, the passive solar design. And then we've taken that concept, we've created an amazing mixed-use podium and a tower that are all completely wrapped in landscape. This is some of our early precedent imagery. So can I just ask you to go back to Lisa? I think I've got it working now, but thank you. Yeah, some of our earlier precedent imagery, thinking about how we go about creating not so much a building, but more a framework for nature and a framework for living. And this is some of the diagrams, thinking about how we do that spatially, that sketch on the top right, I showed you earlier, that initial sketch, thinking about how we deliver that open space that you find in all the incredible houses out in northwestern Sydney in a high-rise environment. So private balconies for individual residents within the tower, a generous communal roof terrace in the bottom middle diagram on the top of the podium, a public plaza to the north of our building, which Louise will take you through in detail, delivering a layered landscape where you can really engage with different types of open space at a range of levels, really your own private space within the private balconies, the communal terrace just for residents only, and the public space alongside the food and beverage. I should click forward. Going backwards now, apologies. Got it. So this is a great view explaining that concept in detail. You can see the tower here with its expressed frame of precast concrete, and within that frame, a whole range of different approaches to planting and shading, creating that protective perimeter for the apartments within. And down the bottom of the image, you can see that 3-story podium, which is a mixed-use retail precinct, which has a supermarket down on the lower 2 levels, cafes opening up to the north on the left-hand side of the image onto the upper plaza, and then a gym on the top floor, and on the roofscape, outdoor garden, a communal roof terrace, and pool for the residents. Here's a view from the south, looking at Banksia to the right here, the building designed by us, and you can see again that 3-story podium with the communal landscape on the roof, and then to the left of that, the building we collaborated on with our Smart Design Studio. So you can see buildings with very different, distinctive characters approaching the connection to the outdoors in quite different ways. Here's a view from Solent Circuit, the main lobby into the apartment building. You can see it's got a compressed, weather-protected space, but a grand triple height space once you move inside. And to the left of the lobby, you can see that supermarket to the right and the gym above with that garden on the roof there. I think we're moving back around to the corner. So this is as we come up Spurway Drive, Solent Circuit to the right. This gives you a really great sense of that mixed use podium. We're looking here into the lower levels of the supermarket, the stairs on the left there taking you up to the plaza, an amazing tree giving shade and protection to the outdoor dining, the top floor of the building accommodating the gym with outdoor terraces for working out, and the very top of the podium with that garden landscape for resident use. Here we are inside one of the apartments. So that idea of connection to nature is really evident all the way through the project. We're in the living room here. We're looking out to that perimeter balcony where you can see built-in planters, irrigated, easy to maintain, complemented by palisade balconies, which give good ventilation, access to the view, and a really great sense of the outdoors. The interiors has also picked up on that idea of connection to nature. You'll pick up in some of the interior design schemes a sort of soft green to literally mimic the color of those sunshades on the outside. Looking through the windows, you can see the vertical sunshades, which provide protection from that eastern and western morning and afternoon sun and help us deliver the high performance facade that Ross will talk to later. And that's complemented by some beautiful timber tones, hard surfaces throughout all the living and dining rooms on the floors. And again, windows all around, creating great ventilation and outlook. Here we are in one of the apartments, just come through the front door. This is one of the 1-bedroom apartments. We've come through the front door into a kitchen where we can drop our keys and handbag on the island bench. You see here the hint of green in the interior design palette and the timber used in the shelves in the kitchen, looking through to those planters and the balconies beyond. And the alternate color scheme with the upgrade floor finish of the timber floor and a more neutral palette is offered as an alternative, which picks up on the calm, natural palette and really celebrates the timber in the highlight elements. Here we are in the bathroom, showing the neutral scheme with the emphasis there on the timber and the beautiful materiality of the textured tiles. And the alternative scheme, the green tile, providing an element of personality to complement the connection to nature. And I think one of the things we've worked really hard on this project is to use all of the common areas to really not only connect to nature, but also foster a sense of community. This is an image of the main entry lobby. So I showed you an image of this from the outside earlier. Now we've come in the front door, and the waiting space here has been designed as a beautiful lending library. So you can see the shelves that run all the way around there be loaded up with books that residents can come and go, drop one off, take one back, take one home to read, and a beautiful sofa to sit down and talk to your neighbours. Here we are on the roof terrace, the communal roof terrace, which is on top of the podium, a beautiful garden space up at level 3 with outlook over down to the lake to the south and over the communal plaza to the north. And alongside that outdoor garden is a range of a bunch of different communal facilities, including a lounge and dining space here. There's a kitchen for hire, and you can see we're looking out on the left there to the resident pool, which is captured in this beautiful cloistered garden, top lit, open to the sky. But you can see that beautiful colonnade of brick and planting, giving a sense of privacy from the public space around. Here's a view just looking down on that. That connection to nature is picked up in the form of the pool with a really lovely shallow lounging pool where kids can play, and a deeper pool where you can swim laps if you like. I might hand over to Louise now, who's going to take you through the public space down at ground level in a bit more detail.
Okay, thanks, Matthew. It's always amazing to see those renders and how beautiful the spaces have turned out. Thank you, everyone. Yes, I'm the design director of the Sydney studio at Aspect. We do a lot of public places, and our heart is really in making sensational places to experience. And it's been great being pushed by these guys to be as green as possible. It's often a thing that we're the ones battling for. I just realized after request control. Oh. Sorry, I just lost the screen there. Right, yeah, thanks, great. Okay, can I control this? Or maybe Lisa, you can do it for me. When looking at the master plan, as Tim mentioned before, we really have tried very hard to make this as green as possible, and casual and kind of fun, but also represent really well the natural ecosystems of the area. So in the greater master plan, we're looking at things like wetlands. There will be some turfed areas, all native planting, and really sort of more casual spaces. In stage 1, which is what we're in now, it's probably the most social of areas. And so the ground plane really concentrates on facilitating spaces for people to meet and gather. And we had a few themes that became the backbone of the project. So big nature was one of them. Big nature in how we apply planting, but also making sure we get large trees to plant day 1. We want it to be abundant. We want it to be not just for us, not just for humans, but for the animals of the area, the birds, the bees. So it's really about giving back as much as it is sort of receiving. Planting with purpose was really about making sure that everything on the ground plane is 100% native. So it is there to be shared with native animals as well as us. But everything on the podiums are really looking to see what they can do to be edibles. So we've got a really unusual mix of trees and lower planting. So when you go there, you will be able to pick herbs and spices, fruits, etc., and really share food in a social way. That brings us to our next thing, which is really about this social edge. So everything we do is really about creating moments where you can share spaces, where you can meet friends, where your kids can play, where you can take your dog. All those sorts of moments become really critical. And we find it's often on those edges between two different uses where you get really, really vital spaces. And we love moments of delight. It's really important, we think, that you don't just know a space by visiting it once. You get to know it over years and years. So surprises are important. Next one. So looking at the plan, the top right-hand corner area, we've called the wild green. And that is largely about this planted space, which is kind of a backdrop to more social gathering spaces. There's lots of F&B, food and beverage opportunities, so cafes and restaurants at the ground levels. There's also a small kind of informal play space, which is grounded in nature, a little amphitheatre and stage for local performances. And all the perimeter, all of the edges, all of the roads have these quite generous green buffers. Next one. So if you look at how we've layered in places to enjoy, really you can see there's lots of things going on. It's about people gathering in that upper court. It's really about meeting friends, and it's a space to learn each other's names, learn your neighbours' names, and bump into people. Next one. On the podium, Matthew's shown you some imagery. We've got a generous pool there. There's barbecue spaces. There's worm farms and vegetable patches. Also sort of more private spaces to just have a seat and have a chat with a friend. Really diverse spaces. We know how important it is to not just have one experience anywhere. So it's about some spaces are for sun, some spaces are in shade. Sometimes you'll be looking towards the lake, sometimes out towards the plaza. So a space for every mood. Next one. So you can see this is on that upper plaza, looking at the wild green behind. On the left there is the amphitheatre, and on the right, the retail. So this is where you'll get food and beverage, you'll get your favourite cafe spilling out onto that space. So you can see we've tried to create something which is a little bit, has a slight edge of formality, but really is quite casual and inviting to be in. And it is about shade. We know how hot it can get. So creating as much shade as possible is a real bonus. And then allowing things like flexible, movable tables and chairs, so you can choose where you'd like to sit in this space, also becomes critical. There's a little sand play in the back there for kids and a water feature as well. Next one. And looking back at the amphitheatre and again at that retail space, you can see the large big in the middle there, a real feature, some incredible planting going into this job. So over the years, it will just get better and better. Next one. And then looking back to the other buildings, so Banksia is on the left there, and the Smart Design building is on the right. So you can see this effort to make a kind of gateway space, a space between these two buildings, each of their own individual character, but kind of complementing the whole. Next one. And this is down on Solent Circuit, looking at the retail that Matthew's taken you through and the stair on the left. We go to the next one. And looking up into that wild green. So we thought it really should be a lovely adventure to move through this space. It's not about knowing everything straight away. It's about discovering spaces, the joy of kind of, you know, moments of understanding shadow and light, of being with friends, and just an easy, really easy, lovely place to be. And I'll pass over to Ross.
Hi, everybody. Lisa, I might get you to drive the slides for me if that's okay. Yeah, I'm from Finding Infinity. We are a environmental consultancy, so we sort of get brought in to look at the sort of technical and financial side of sustainability. So as Tim was saying earlier, I think there's clearly a lot of talk in this, you know, on this topic at the moment, and we really try to focus on getting real things in projects. You know, it's an interesting kind of process because you end up with not wanting to spend too much on things that will, you know, sort of cost in the end you guys you know, to sort of invest in a project like this. And so there's been a lot of effort in how to find and integrate the most sort of financially viable sustainability initiatives into this project. And what's really special and really unique is that Malfa actually came to us as the first consultant in the project. And so we looked into, from the get-go, how do we find a way to get sort of, make these buildings as energy efficient, water efficient, and, minimize waste as much as possible. But then at the same time, how can we generate as much energy on site, and, treat and reuse water on site, and also treat our waste on site? So it's been very exciting to put that forwards from the get-go. And I won't take you through every initiative. I think you'll fall asleep if I do. And I think the team know I can go on and on about this stuff, but it is very exciting. And what is worth just noting here is that we have managed to get, so many great things into this project. But I think what's also really special is that it's not, some projects that try and do a lot environmentally, feels like a lot of gadgets and gizmos around the place, but this is done in a way that's easy. Like, we don't want it to feel hard work or complicated or to think about it too much. We're really making an effort to make it easy to live in a low impact lifestyle here, where you don't have to think too much, but it's just the kind of the natural way of being. So if we go to the next slide. So this is, this is the level of detail we've gone into. We've really spent a long time sort of, my background's engineering and finance. So we basically do energy simulations and water simulations and work out all of the demands for all of the buildings. And then we break it down to how does this impact you as the consumer on a apartment level. And we've sort of looked at what is the minimum compliance, what is just mandatory, what does Malfa have to do as a developer just to meet codes, and then what could they do? And this is what's really exciting, what's really unique about Malfa is that they've really made an effort to do as much as they possibly can and to try and find a way to make that work. And so really what you're seeing here is sort of, significant savings all round. And I think this leads well into the next slide, which is basically that, in the end, what we've sort of managed to achieve is these buildings that are actually using 2/3 less energy, and they're also sort of saving occupants about 25% on their bills annually. So, and this is sort of the nice balance that we're creating is kind of minimizing impact, minimizing operating costs, and sort of, basically making it better all at the same time. So I could keep going, but I think that's probably a good enough summary for now. And if anyone has any questions, we can go further later.
Hi, everyone. Tim Spencer back again. Thanks, Matt, Louise, and Ross. Look, just some really high-level presentations there, really giving you a taste of what's the journey we've been on with this project to date. I'm, super proud of the result that we've achieved in regards to driving that real connection to nature and public accessibility onto the ground plane of these buildings. Delivering apartments that will use 2/3 less energy than the standard apartment. Like that is actually huge, and that's absolutely fantastic. And some big initiatives through there, from solar through to the capability for car charging in the car space, through to I can never say it, the biodigester. Ross, you might have to help me out. And just the small initiatives that all add up to really make a project different, and to really put us into a thought leadership space. So I might just start going through some of the questions that have been submitted earlier. And I think, Lisa, are we encouraging some more questions to you via your texting or?
Yeah, that's right. People can send through any questions to the number on the screen.
Yeah, sorry, my eyes are going. I've gone past 45 years of age, so I can't read that. But some of the questions that have already been submitted. The first one, I want to know what this project has to offer as an edge on the competitors or products available in the vicinity. Look, I think that's a really good question and a fair question. When we do have competitors right on our doorstep, Sekisui's just over the back of us towards the golf course, but across the other side of Spurway Drive. We've obviously got 7 Maitland Place coming soon to the east. You know, we're very proud of being the parent developer in Norwest and ensuring that the whole community is growing and succeeding. And so, you know, I won't rubbish our competitors, but all of us seem to fit very nicely, we believe, in terms of where they sit in the market. And, you know, we'd like to think that Molfa, over the last 30 years within Norwest, has demonstrated and continued to be the more premium offering amongst our competitors within the local market. Its prime location on Solent Circuit, its connectivity obviously to Norwest Lake, and then subsequently the rail is obviously fantastic. The amount of landscape in this precinct is absolutely second to none. Norwest Business Park has always had a environmental excellence tagline and promise, and the Norwest Association that essentially governs the 377 hectares of business park spends about $1 million a year on maintaining the landscape throughout the streets and the lakes and the riparian zones. And for us to actually take an extension of that to within our project is something special. A lot of people probably have driven past the site numerous times and probably can see the challenges around the topography and the rising nature of the site. Definitely one of the benefits of our site is that you know, we will be the pinnacle in height along this side. We definitely have a privilege there, giving us fantastic views of the golf course, then also looking back over the lake. And it's amazing once you're up there how close and fantastic the view of Bella Vista Farm is. So that was kind of my answer to the first question. The second question is, what makes it a good investment? The most important one here, in my opinion, and I think everyone's starting to see it in the market, is just our quality brand and our commitment to quality. And that goes all the way down to the construction quality and the fact that, you know, we've been around for 30 years and we'll still be around for the next 20 years in Norwest as well. So, you know, we have to do the right thing and stand by our customers over the long term. And for us, you know, that's a rod to our back, but also a very pleasing thing as a development person to know that we have the corporate backing to ensure that we're doing the right thing. You know, there's been some pretty spectacular failures in the marketplace over the last few years, and we've definitely seen a bit of flight to quality and known brands. That's to our advantage. So I think as an investment, that plays to your long-term capital growth and security. How many products and type will be in this first stage? Within the first 2 buildings are 196 apartments and around 3,500 square metres of retail, F&B and commercial. To put that in context, people probably know the Esplanade project across the road. That's 287 apartments and about 5,500 square metres of commercial and retail. So we're not that big. And I think it's a really nice sweet spot being around that 200 apartments, where I think we're 196 apartments and split across the 2 buildings. So 80 apartments in the smaller building and just over 100 in the tower that we're talking about tonight, being Banksia. A whole range of apartment types, from 1 bed plus studies through to 2 beds, 2 bed plus, We've got some actually spectacular 2-bed bus study penthouses, or sub-penthouses, I should say, which I think are absolutely fantastic product. And then, of course, we extend into what we call the Malfa stock of premium 3 bedrooms. And then we've got a couple of really special 4 beds. Of course, we've had a question about pricing. I will refer you to our lovely sale agents, Alan Sullivan and Chetan Bhatt, at our sales office. So if you really want to find out more on what apartments are coming up for release on the 5th of March, please go and talk to the boys in our sales office at 36 Solent Circuit. I'm just reading the questions. Oh, this is a good one, actually. How is Norwest Quarter different to other apartment blocks which intend to have cafes, retail, but these end up being vacant and unleasable, which gives the building a barren feel? The community aspect of neighbourhood is compelling, but doesn't work unless there are actual cafes and vendors in the building. Yeah, pretty good question. We're pretty proud of the fact that we also own Norwest Market Town, which is on the other side of the lake, and that we aim to maintain ownership of this retail plaza within this building. So most of the failures of retail is where those shops down the bottom get sold off, and the developer loses control. We're very conscious that this is the first stage of 5 stages across this whole precinct. It will take us 5+ years to build out the whole project, and therefore for us, maintaining control and delivering of the public amenity within stage 1 is obviously critical. We're in market at the moment talking to tenants that we want to be there. They have to be tenants that are willing to come on our journey of sustainability and our continued drive to perform better over the years. So our retail tenants, we believe, are an incredible part of our offering that we need to hang on to. Just looking through the questions. Will the property be heavily purchased by investors for rental or purchased by owner-occupiers? Obviously, the market determines that. However, our premium positioning of our projects historically has meant that we have been dominated by owner-occupiers, and our normal kind of percentages is north of 80% of as owner-occupiers versus renters. Can you have a dog in your apartment? You can have 1 cat and 1 dog up to 15 kilos when fully grown. Whilst I may have stopped growing taller, I'm definitely growing out. But hopefully a dog over 15 kilos is a pretty big dog. So hopefully that satisfies the pet lovers out there. Will composting your community gardens, including herbs, plants, part of Malfa's future sustainable developments? Absolutely. I think where Louise spoke to our approach to native flora and fauna on the ground plane, as well as up on the private community space on top of the podium, we definitely have a commitment to look at how we better connect to nature in a realistic way. So it's a big part of our vision. They're the questions I've had previously. Lisa, have you got any more that you want to pipe up and ask me, or?
Sure, I can ask you the questions if you like.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is the public outside space maintained by the resident strata or via someone else?
Very good question. there will be a body corporate structure over the whole precinct. So that's over the whole of the 9 towers that will be responsible for maintaining that landscape spaces. And then there will be subsequent building stratas that will be responsible for maintaining their own building.
Another question has been the commencement and completion dates.
We've been in partnership with a tier 1 builder throughout the design development phase of this project over the last 9 to 12 months. A fantastic builder. We've deliberately looked to the tier 1 category because of the importance of this project for us. We hope to execute a contract with them in the next couple of months, and looking for a start April, May, which would see a completion, weather permitting, end of 2024, weather not permitting, early 2025.
One more is in regards to the waste from the apartments. Will residents need to bring waste down to the lower levels to throw out rubbish, or will each level have its own bin and recycling room?
No, we just don't encourage residents to throw it off the balconies. No, there are, correct me if I'm wrong, Jan, but there are garbage chutes from garbage rooms on each level.
Will there be a 24/7 concierge? Will building managers have access keys to apartments?
Detailed questions there. We are reviewing the concept of a concierge within the first tower. Ultimately, it ends up a decision for the residents themselves. But at this stage, that is under review, and we would have to come back to the person asking that question. Building managers having keys to apartments, I don't like that. I wouldn't have thought that that's happened.
That is all the messages received so far. The questions, rather.
Okay.
Can I jump in with a small response to the first question about what's unique?
Yeah.
And
don't just say you, Ross.
Yeah, okay. No, I actually think something that for me is a bit of a sort of oversight at this point in time in a project where people are looking to buy is how comfortable it's actually going to be, and the quality of light, and the running costs to me. And I think it's sort of something that is really unique about this project. It is going to be more comfortable. The natural light is really great in all of the spaces, and it's going to be significantly lower cost to live in than any other apartment building. Not just this. What's happening on this project is it's not just a sort of leader in the area or Sydney. That I don't actually know a building in Australia of this scale that's doing all of these things. Basically, it's a really special and unique outcome that has happened through everyone coming together and making it work.
Thanks, Ross. Look, we probably did. We probably should have stressed how much effort that the design teams have put in regards to passive solar design. As we all know, the extremes of weather at Norwest can go from very cold to very hot, and for apartments that are facing essentially in all directions, north, south, east, west, being really conscious of probably most importantly, that northwestern heat load has been something that we've really looked at, and the angle of the buildings and the design of the passive shading elements, including the louvers on this building, specifically being Banksia, have actually been fine-tuned to, you know, the nth degree. You probably didn't pick up on the master plan looking down at the slight twist to the Banksia building, but those twists aren't done. What's the word I'm looking for? Just because we wanted to put a twist in, that's done to a particular angle to maximise the passive solar performance of the building. So, you know, I think the architects have done a fantastic and amazing job in partnership with Ross to really analyse heat loads and energy consumption off the back of those heat loads. You know, where to put windows, how big are those windows, the thickness of the walls. You know, we've gone to the extent of double glazing to really enhance that energy performance. You know, there's been a lot in there that's fantastic.
I've just had one more question come through. It is, since heating and cooling is centralised, is it included in the levies?
Very good question. I believe that each apartment will be individually metered, and so you will be charged on a user basis. So even though it's centralised, you will be rewarded if you don't turn your AC on all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And also by it being centralised, it's called a coefficient of performance. So it's basically more efficient. It's about a coefficient of performance of 3 versus 5. So we're achieving 5, which is
Spectacular.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we didn't mention, one of the big moves here is that the buildings are completely electric. So making a big core to remove gas, you know, was met with some resistance at the start in regards to, you know, how would the market accept that? We took a position that going fully electric is the way of the future. It enables us to take that carbon-free living tag and actually do it. And for us, you know, that's something special. Any more, Lisa?
No.
Excellent. And most importantly, you will get the opportunity to buy one of these magnificent apartments on the 5th of March. But it is very important that you talk to Alan or Chet, our sales people at our sales office, to book an appointment and to understand the process that we'll be going through on the weekend of the 5th and the 6th. So unless there's any more questions, I'd just like to say thank you for coming. Feel more than free to contact the boys and to submit further questions via the through our salespeople, and the development team will definitely get back to you, and we'll continue to get excited about this wonderful project.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Louise, Ross, my development team. Well done. And everyone, have a good night, and hopefully we'll see you in the sales office soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
Thanks.